Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today, we're switching it up from real horror and real horrifying events to
horrible things.
to the silliest horror there possibly is, which is Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yeah, Freddy versus Jason didn't quite go far enough.
Yeah.
So now it's Freddy versus Jason
versus Ash. And this is, for all intents and purposes, this is an Ash book. Like, this is literally Dynamite letting DC use their license so they can have Ash in this book, and therefore I think it had to be like an Ash book where he's the narrator and everything. So you get full Ash narration, just like Evil Dead movies and everything. And yeah, it's got a feel. It definitely feels like like a Evil Dead comic more than it feels like, a Jason comic or something.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. As B and John were saying, this actually felt very, very much like very well written. Like, because as I was reading all this narration at the beginning, I could hear Bruce Campbell's voice in my head. So I'm like, oh, like this feels really like true to the Ash character.
Yeah, because it stretches 6 issues, and it seems like the latter half issues, like maybe it's a little more peppered with like lines but
yes.
But for the most part, especially when it's the dialogue,
I like that, peppered with lines. You mean direct quotes from every movie?
Other movies?
Anything he's ever said in any other movie was in this book.
Yes,
but this first issue, when he's setting up the story and like how this is all connected, he's it's Ash explaining it, but I felt like, like I could hear him saying it in his voice.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I give it that too. Is like it's well written enough that like when it started doing that, I was like, okay, I'm already in the story. So.
Yeah, and if you are not if you're a new listener, you might not know we did an Ash or an Evil Dead comic for Christmas last year. Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was the year before. Actually.
Okay, the year before. And it was terrible.
It was.
It was. We
got excited because I think we'd read this one, right? Like
I read. Okay, yeah, I read this when it came out. I bought it in an issue.
Yeah, I feel like I read it like when it came out too. This is some time ago.
Yeah, this was when I worked at the comic store,
Yeah.
so I was very aware that this came out, and I was very aware that I liked Jason at the time. So, yeah, I definitely wanted this to happen. And also at the time, this was like a possible movie that everybody was talking about because Freddy vs. Jason had come out within the last 4 years of this. So, like, the idea that Freddy vs. Jason versus Ash could have been a thing was in the air. Like, I remember people talking about it. Like, that's what needs to happen next. I'm like, I would fucking love that.
Damn.
But when it came out in this, I was like, I gotta read that or whatever, But yeah, we read that shitty comic, so this is much better than that. Much better written.
Much better.
Story's better than that. So, and then also I will say, this is from 2007, 2008, around there. And like I said, I worked at the comic store when this came out. This was a Wildstorm book. So at the time of this, Wildstorm had just been bought by DC. I don't know if it had just been bought, but they just put it into DC canon. So I think it might have been bought like in the early 2000s, and they just held it and were like, we don't know what to do with this. And then if you all the ads in this book, because we actually got the other thing about this is because it's Wildstorm and because these are licensed properties, they're not in print. None of these are in print because God forbid any of these would stay in print, because who owns what now and all that, they're all licensed things. So no one knows who owns this. Probably, if I had to guess, I'd say Dynamite owns this because it's not like it's Batman or something, So, I mean, whoever, but the problem is I don't think they could probably reprint it unless they talk to whoever owns Jason now and all that,
Freddy,
and Freddy. So, and those are probably two other companies that, so. But so I happen to procure every Jason comic, which we might as well tell them now, John. We're for Halloween. you might have seen, we did a little promo, but we're doing the Friday the 13th Spooktacular.
Yes.
Where we're going to read every Friday the 13th comic mini-series. With the mini-series.
The minis, yeah. So like if it's 2 to 3, where it's like obviously Jason's going to go on some killing spree, let's do that.
Yeah, we're not reading the 6-issue ones except this one.
Nobody's got time for that unless Ash is involved.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we are going to read all the like the 2-issue and 3-issue miniseries and do little mini episodes throughout the week, starting on Monday. So this one should come out, and then on the next day, Monday, we will be releasing the first one, which is called Jason versus Leatherface.
Some more verses, yeah. And so, yeah, be on the lookout for those. They're going to be fantastic.
Yeah. So, can't wait for that. I'm excited to go through all of them. And, it's perfect. You get like 3 different eras of Jason comics, too, because it's like different publishers and everything. But one of those eras is this Wildstorm era. And it was funny to see the ads in this because they're all like, this is the new Wildstorm book coming out. And here's another one, too. And here's another one. And none of them came out. Because DC was like, why are we putting out all these Wildstorm books? Fuck it. Let's just cancel them and add 5 more bat titles to the thing. Like, why would we promote Wildstorm? We don't really own anything. We haven't, like, built anything up, and we're probably not going to sell. So I think there was, like, maybe 1 or 2 of those ever got released. I think the Authority ones did. Because I remember the, like Midnighter and Grifter coming out, but I don't remember Gen 13 and any of those other ones that they were showing. So, which I thought was funny. I was like, everyone was reading this, I'm like, none of these came out. I was like, Jesus, they really did just fuck Wildstorm. They just said, hey, Jim Lee, you know that thing you created a long time ago? Yeah, we're gonna throw that in a trunk and bury it in the ocean to never be seen again. So, but he got money, and now he's also like the head of DC. So like that was his deal with the devil. That was his crossroads. It's like, yeah, take all that shit I did before, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of money and be the face of DC now. So worked out for him. But yeah. Anyway, back to Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. The book starts 5 years after the events of Freddy vs. Jason. Pretty much in exactly the year it came out.
Yeah.
Because I think Freddy vs. Jason came out in 2003, so about 5 years. And it starts off, like we said, there with Ash talking narration. He's setting up this whole comic, and we find out that in the area of Crystal Lake, which is now called something else, Forest Green, I think it's called, because they changed the name.
They're rebranding, trying to.
They did that in one of the. They did that in one of the Friday the 13th movies too, but it doesn't work. It never works.
Yeah.
And so, but he's saying they're opening a giant ultra S-Mart or whatever, which is like the Costco of
Shop Smart, Shop S-Mart.
Exactly. Which he says multiple times in this. So, yeah, like we said, we get that, and then we get like the breakdown of what happened in Freddy vs. Jason. Just like a quick in case you missed the movie.
They fought.
Yeah,
it was hysterically ridiculous, over the top, and awesome,
fucking awesome. And Jason won, but then Freddy
did he really win?
Freddy winks at you.
Then he winks at the end
because Jason emerges from the water after having you think Freddy won, and then Jason emerges with fucking Freddy's head, and you're like, hell yeah. Because that's who should have won, and then as he's approaching the camera, we focus on Freddy's head, and then Freddy's head winks. So you're like, wait, I guess they're gonna leave it open, and because you can't you can't have officially win. But I would say if Jason removes your head,
that's the same thing with this new Kong versus Godzilla. They were like, no, there's gonna be a definitive winner, and then I guess technically Godzilla beat King Kong, but then spoilers if you haven't seen it, pardon me. But still, it's like, then they fight together. It's like, so you didn't really, nobody killed the other.
Right.
Where was the, pulling off the monkey's head?
I want to see Godzilla rip Godzilla. I mean, I want to see King Kong rip Godzilla's face off and then bite his fingers off. And then go for the genitals. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what should have happened in King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yes.
That didn't happen. But yeah, then we actually start with the 2 characters that survived. There's a girl and a boy. I don't remember their name. It's not important.
It's not important.
And I will say everybody that they introduced into this comic except Ash and except one girl named Carrie. Carrie?
Yeah,
I see. It's not even important enough for me to know her name, but I'm pretty sure it's Carrie. Other than those 2, Everybody else
doesn't
is
matter.
just fodder. So there's a lot of people thrown into here that you're just like, am I supposed to know these names? Are they going to be important? No. They are not. They are just going to be bodies for these fucking, two people to tear apart and Ash to try to save, but usually fail. So we start with the girl and the boy. I think his name's Will and her name's Lori, I think.
Yeah.
From the first, from Freddy versus Jason. And she's like, we have to go back. We need to make sure they're dead. I can't sleep until I make sure that Jason's dead too or whatever. And, I don't know why. She just feels the need. So as good as any reason to start a horror movie, right? So they go to this town and they go into the woods because they're like, okay, we're going to, Jason's house or in the lake. And they get out of their car, and she's like, what's that? Let's look around. And, is that blood on the tree? Then she turns around, Will's gone. And then she follows a blood trail.
That's smart.
Yeah. She hears some noise, like, she's like, what's that? And then Will's gone, so she tracks a blood trail and some footprints and stuff. She's like, Will, you there? And then we see the house. And then she walks into the house, and there's Will torn in half, and his intestines are spilling out. And then you hear, which I thought was kind of bullshit. That was my problem.
Yes.
The sound effect of is not, one, it's not correct.
We have a purist over here. I always heard it as
yeah, but the actual, the key,
but
the guy who made
right.
the sound took the sound from saying, so that's what it is. Or like kill mother is the two words there. So that's some knowledge for all you.
Yeah, so he's dropping Friday the 13th knowledge on you.
In case you wanted to know some of that, a big fan here. All right. So, but that stuff never happens in the violent scenes. That happens before the violence. So while she's walking in the woods, it should go. Because that's the scary buildup, and then it's like when he's like stabbing you and murdering you or whatever. So like, I don't know why, but for some reason in this comic they put the sound effects during the murders, which I'm like, no, it's not how it works. But whatever.
But it wasn't enough to take him out of it.
It didn't, and at first I didn't even know because it said it's not. I was like, what is it?
What is this sound effect?
Yeah, I was like, what's the sound effects? I'm like, cha-cha. Like I
just imagine you reading it for the first time and being like,
yeah,
what?
cha-cha-cha.
What is this sound?
Yeah. And then I realized, it's but then I'm like, oh, they did it in the wrong spot. So first ding against this comic. But like I said, this comic was fun, so we're not trying to
it's not real,
throw it under the bus or anything.
He's
and I will say, the other big thing about this book that kind of threw me was the first 3 issues have one artist who was fine, and the second 3 issues have a shit artist, which is shit. So I was like, why did they switch it, halfway through? But hey, this is prior to nowadays, which that happens every fucking issue. So, you'll have like, did you want Jim Lee and fucking Frank Miller on a comic? Well, they're on issue number 1. And then after that, it's
did we get you hooked? Well, now these people are kind of close to it if you squint your eyes a little bit.
Did we juice those numbers for number 1? Well, guess what? None of those people are on it again. So I hope you care about these characters that no one gives a fuck about. So yeah, I don't know. They do that all the time now, but
it was weird.
It was kind of rare back then for a miniseries to not have the same artist halfway through it. And a miniseries that had good art. Like I thought, the art was fine in the beginning. It is definitely early digital art, but
it's serviceable.
I thought it was good. There was a lot of like, we'll call them power moves, where like Jason moves real fast, like, and even they do the speed line, but like the blur, the digital blur, which I thought was fun. They don't do that anymore. Like, so it's like they figured out what to do with digital stuff, but they hadn't done it yet. So. In this part, they're like, oh, I think we can do like digital blur and it'll look cool when they move and stuff. I'm like, nah, not really. And also, this one has really, really dark like scenes where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'll show you. There's one page specifically where we'll explain it, but like, I could not tell what was going on. I'm like, and I'm reading it at like actual like comic book page size, like 14 inches by 11 inches, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then, so I can only imagine what was like on the page. But Anyway, Jason bursts in as she sees Will, her love, who escaped. And the best thing about this was the narration that Ash is giving over this whole scene is him being like, when you survive an event like that, like a killing spree, you kind of start thinking like, maybe I was chosen, maybe I'm the chosen one, and then you start putting yourself in those situations where you're like, yeah, I am the chosen one, I can't die. And then all of a sudden this happens where she sees Will dead, and then she's like, I'm gonna kill you, Jason, and she like runs up the stairs as he's attacking her, and then like she grabs, like she gets hit by a piece of rebar he throws at her, but she makes it up the stairs, gets a saw, cuts him, and is able to like throw him out the window or get him to jump out the window or whatever, or fall out the window. And then she goes down to check to make sure he's dead, like cut off his head. And then he bursts through the door and fucking murders her, chops her right in the face. And he's like, well, simple fact, I'm the only chosen one. Like, I'm the one who's going to live because I'm Ash. And like, I thought that was funny. I like this whole little spiel where he's like, you think you're chosen? You ain't shit.
You're not.
Yeah, I'm the chosen one. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, she gets a full machete to the face. Very graphic, right down the nose. Blood everywhere.
That's one thing I do like about these, because even though like the movies are rated R, they still like sometimes they do cut away
punches.
A little bit, or they pull punches. But in all of these, like if they're gonna do something, they go ahead and do it in the comic, and it's pretty cool. And then sometimes a little like, oh, we'll get into
some of those. But so then this is where we first see as Jason's cleaning up his mess. He's a very tidy boy. He doesn't want other people to find his mess.
Yeah.
But this is where we see Freddy for the first time. Freddy just kind of appears out of a like do not enter sign or caution slipping area or whatever sign. He just like his head appears and he's like so it's kind of like he's just not corporeal yet. I don't think Jason sees him unless he wants to see him.
Yeah.
Or unless he wants Jason to see him. So. But then we cut to the S-Mart that's brand new and opening, and the whole town is there, and they're like, this is fucking awesome. It's overpacked. The problem is everybody they hired, all the stupid kids in town.
They're all fucking dumb.
They're all fucking idiots, and they can't work, just like every fucking kid now.
And they're waiting for, I didn't know he had a title. He's the senior housewares domestic engineer.
Yeah. Well, they have. I assume it's just they have to keep promoting him because he's got to get his raise or whatever. So they
just keep adding.
He's just worked up into nothing. They're giving him bigger titles that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're waiting for this new guy to come, who ends up being Ash, and the manager is very like straightforward manager, but everybody he works with that he hired is a dumbass and terrible basically. Dumb kids that can't do jobs.
Yeah, and this is also kind of around Christmas time. There's one of the employees is playing Santa Claus and not doing a good job of it, obviously.
Yeah, and so then we see Jason. Like you said, he packs up the kids that he just killed, and he's putting them back in his part of the lodge. This is the one weird thing. They showed his house like it was getting rebuilt or something. Like he had a giant house with his mom. But
Jason
in every movie, he had like a weird shack. So I don't know. This part looks like a shack underneath, so I think it's like...
Jason's got the shack way out back.
Well, I think it's underneath. I think it's like the basement is his area. And then on top of it is like the nice house or whatever. So he brings the kids down there. He's got his mom's head on an altar like every time before.
Yeah.
And next to that head is Freddy's head, which is funny. He's like,
funny.
Like I'm gonna do something. We see him. He's being mischievous as Freddy always is. And then Jason's kind of thinking back to when he was a child in camp getting teased and bullied, and you see the camp counselors fucking each other, not paying attention to the kids bullying him, and then we hear like, give it to me, baby. And Jason's like, what the fuck? And he goes into this cabin. He's going to kill whoever's in there. And he looks, and it's Freddy. And it's Freddy fucking his mom.
Yeah.
So literally, Freddy has mounted Jason's mom and is like, hey, son. And like his mom's like, you needed a new daddy. And I figured, who's better than this, And so basically, Jason goes with it and is like, Freddy's my dad. Like, my mom told me I'm supposed to listen to him. And so, like, basically, the crux of this is turns out Jason is actually one of those Kandarian demons that got raised somehow. We don't know how exactly. But that's why he came back all of a sudden after all those years for no reason. And maybe also why he aged 20 years after.
Yeah. So he is a Deadite.
Yeah, so basically Jason is a Deadite. And he actually had the Necronomicon in his house. Like his mom had it or something, you know? And so, and then the other thing is now Freddy is in charge of Jason, and he's like, I want you to like get all these kids because I need to like become corporeal so I can fuck around or whatever.
I need them to like read something from it, right?
Yeah, well, I think he just needs kids to believe. You know, Freddy needs people to believe in him so that he can, you know, get power and then he can come back to life again. And I think now he kind of knows how to get into the real world, but he wants the book so that he can eventually just have the power to be in our world with his powers. Because in Freddy vs. Jason, he got pulled into our world, so I think he knows how to get into it now.
Yeah.
But he didn't have his powers. So he was just a dude with a glove.
He's just a dude with a...
So he could do some moves, but Jason is a supernatural monster. So if he wants to compete with that, he's got to use the Book of the Dead to get powers in our realm or whatever. So that is the crux of this story is he needs Jason to scare the kids again so they believe in him at least enough so that he can get power to come into our world, and then he can use the Book of the Dead to get powers in our world. So, but who pulls up? But our boy Ash. He pulls up finally. Ash J. Williams. He's, it says my name's Ash, the housewares domestic engineer from Detroit S-Mart. And, that's how it is. He's the engineer of housewares. And he's just here, just like I said, just to set the store up or whatever, to get it in ship shape or whatever. And that's the first issue of this comic.
I did like he still has the Sam Raimi car.
Yes, of course. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't he? Just because,
yeah. But maybe they might have changed it. I don't know. They kept it the same. That's nice.
Why would they change it? It's the same car in every book. But also, one good thing about this series is that the covers, at least most of them, are by Eric Powell, who did The Goon and our book last week.
That's right.
So get some cool Eric Powell art where he's doing Jason, Freddy, and Ash all on one page, which would be pretty cool artwork to have, I think, if you could find it. I'm sure it's somewhere.
You could probably.
He should sell it for Halloween. To me, for like cheap, though. So, but yeah, so we get Ash showing up, and he comes in. He's got his metal hand. This is all after, Army of Darkness and everything. So he just comes in like he's Ash, like he's 20 years old, but now he's like 45 in this series. So, he's like the older version of Ash. So he thinks he's like hitting on all the young ladies and shit, and they're like, "Get out of here, you old man," or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I'll show you, old man." And then, so like right away, Jason just appears at this store about the time Ash shows up. Ash is inside, but Jason comes out to the girls who were making fun of him. And like Freddy shows them being like, "Hey, look at us. We're dressed scantily clad." And Jason's like, "Must kill girls," or whatever. And so like he just starts chopping all these girls in half and fucking murdering them. Well, which Jason does. But usually he doesn't do it in broad daylight. This is like, Jason's just like, "Oh, I'm just walking and I'm just going to murder people in broad daylight and in a store, fluorescent lighting, whatever. Who cares?" So he just starts killing.
Yeah, this is
girls.
Basically in the parking lot.
Yeah, in the parking lot, he starts killing them. And then there's like an old lady who sees this and he's like, goes after her. And then there's like yelling. So Ash is like, "What? I gotta, figure out what's going on out here." And then he sees the old lady who apparently did not get killed. But, and I don't know, maybe it was because Jason's like, "It's Mama," or like, "It's an old lady like Mom." I don't know. But for some reason, she didn't get killed. But there's blood everywhere, and the cops show up, and they instantly think Ash is like a bad person. I don't know why exactly. It's not like he's from this town or something. Like he doesn't have a history or anything. But for some reason, they just take him.
He's a new guy. It's got to be him.
It's got to be him, yeah. And so, and the cop totally misses the blood and everything. And so after that, like the cop gives him shit, and Ash gives his shit back, which I thought was funny. Like,
yeah.
where he's like, "Go fuck yourself, cop," or whatever. like, why don't you go eat a donut or something, And then Ash like goes back to the store and starts shaping everything up, while the kids, kind of harass and make fun of him and stuff behind his back. And then some kids try to play a prank on him, but they dress up like Jason, and they're like, ah, and he thinks it's real at first, and he's like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, that's Jason Voorhees, the guy who kills people around here. It's myth. And he's like, oh, maybe that's what the blood was from before, because Jason disappeared after the old lady screamed. So, but then Jason doesn't disappear for long, because he comes back and finds some carolers
out front,
apparently out front of a church or something nearby, because he's like, you hear like, oh come on, and then murdering, he's just stabbing these people, cutting their heads off. I thought it was funny. He literally cuts all their faces off, and they look like they're still singing.
Yeah, they're just like singing, but just the heads in the ground.
Yeah, and so yeah, and then I don't know. There's not. I mean, literally, you're just getting introduced to everybody who's going to die. That is the main.
The only other one, like you said, we get introduced to is Carrie, and she's like.
I'm gonna say, which one is Carrie? Because there's two girls in this.
They do look similar. That's true.
Yeah, they look exactly the same, in fact, except one changes into a sluttier thing. Is Carrie the sluttier one, or is Carrie the one who's actually like the blue shirt?
I think she's actually the blue shirt.
Okay. I got confused. I was like, I don't know which one this is. So, but it makes sense. The sluttier one would be the one who died. Per Jason rules. So, so they all leave after work. Jason is just.
Yeah, some of the kids are like, we're going to go have sex somewhere.
No, they don't even say somewhere. They say, we're going to go have sex at the old Jason Voorhees house.
Oh, they said the house. Okay.
They actually said, like, we're going to go to the house. And that's why I was like, house? And I'm like, oh, the shack? And then they get there, and it's like this fucking mansion. I'm like, all right, I guess we're just going to retcon that. Retcon that just for
this?
Yeah, just for this book. But, yeah, so... And Ash even says, like, I don't think you want to go out to anywhere, creepy or whatever. And they're like, fuck off, old man. So they go there, and then all the kids start having sex. And, of course, Jason
reappear outside the house.
Yeah, I like this. There's just kids having sex. He's just outside the window. And that's the only time you actually hear the sound effect and used in the right spot. Is you hear it. So then you're like, okay, that was the right one. But every other time... He's killing someone when it's happening. So, but yeah. And the kids are literally they're getting, like, instantly, like, let's just fuck on the stairs. And, like in the most uncomfortable parts of the house you could ever have sex or whatever. Like we're just going to fuck on this landing.
The rascals, just wherever.
Wherever. They're teenagers. They don't care. And so, Ash, enters in the house. He follows them there because he's worried. I guess the girl who isn't slutty, because the slutty one went to the house. The girl who isn't slutty is Carrie, who is the one who is in the uniform still. So the one from S-Mart. And so they actually both go together because she's like, I think they're going to get in trouble or whatever. And he's like, all right, well, we'll go together if you insist. Because he's just trying. It seems like he's just kind of.
Oh, yeah, because he's laying it on her.
Yeah, he's laying it on thick, as Ash would. He's, hail the king, baby. And so, and so he goes there and he's like, oh, they're having an orgy. And then, like, he's down in the basement hearing like and then he go up. It cuts to upstairs, and Jason is just murdering.
He is ripping people
all of these
apart.
people. Yeah, he's smashing heads, and you think, wow, they're really going at it up there, huh? And then you see like the machete stab through the floor, right as Ash finds the Book of the Dead in the spot it would be, I guess. And I don't remember why he thinks to go there. I mean, does he just find it, or why does he?
No, I think he thinks that the Necronomicon will be there.
But why?
He had like.
I guess just because things are bad are happening.
Usually, and
that book's always here when bad things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. That was the thing. Like the premise of this book is a little convoluted. So what are you gonna do? It's just a fun book. You gotta suspend disbelief a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But like we said. Jason stabs a girl through the floorboards as she's like cowgirl style on this guy on the ground, and then he stabs through her and him into the floorboards, and that's when Ash goes, holy shit, like something's happening upstairs. And we see like all the mayhem. Like we said, this is a very graphic book. Like you said, it's rated R in the movies, and they can't show like intestines and
no, yeah.
This book has all of
someone
that.
Like
extreme violence.
Someone get a knife through them, and you see the knife go through them, and then like they spit out blood.
Yeah,
but that's usually about it.
The awful, you don't see the bits inside.
Yeah,
and this is all about bits.
Very much so.
See intestines. And
he's
kidneys.
crushing a head, and you like literally, it's like the mountain, like literally, like squeezing in the eyes and the
pop out of his skull or whatever, and his brain too. So like just craziness. And then this is the first time Ash actually sees Jason. So Jason shows up as Ash is like saving one of the girls who is in a bath towel. She's like, "What? What's going on?" And then like she's like, "Oh my God, he's right behind you!" And then Ash sees him. This is where he starts saying his lines like, "Hey, eat this," and he shoots his boomstick at Jason, which of course doesn't do much, but yeah, I mean like this is where the comic, in my opinion, it gets good for this next issue, and then it starts to decline a little bit, just a bit, just because you can't make it work. You know what I mean? Like the premise isn't that strong, we'll say.
Yeah. The next one in the beginning is my favorite because they both get in Ash's car like they're gonna drive away, and Jason throws his machete at the car.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, like it's kind of like motion blurry.
It's got blur, it's got digital blur.
And Ash catches it as it comes through the windshield with his metal hand right before it hits his face.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was like, that's really cool.
It was a great shot. But that's like I was saying, like the whole digital blur thing.
Yeah, it's like,
they don't do that anymore.
Fast.
They don't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
So this was the thing they were trying out with, like not the best comics or whatever. They're like, like, let's try this whole digital thing. But yeah, so we get Jason, now killing his car that you were talking about. The car dies.
He smashes the engine. It seems like.
True, but does it drive after that?
It does.
It does. Okay. Fine. Well, he smashes the whole front of it. This was the page.
Yeah, because I thought he killed it too. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess the car's done. But then
right. He. So they get out of the car. They're on the run, and I have no idea what's going on this page. If you could tell me.
Oh, this is the one.
Great.
Okay.
It's so dark.
They jump out of that car, and they're gonna get up to run away, and Jason's right there on them, like he's gonna take him out. And then another car whips around and hits them.
Okay. I see it now.
Bree was the one that was inside. She's the other girl who again. I told you her name now. She's gonna be dead soon.
Right.
And Carrie was
Bree.
outside.
You say very important.
Yeah. And Carrie was outside still. I guess she stayed outside while he went down because I guess it would be too dangerous or something. I don't remember why she stayed out. But yeah, she ends up pulling around. In I guess one of the other cars that's out there, and it ends up smacking Jason out of the way, and she's like, "Okay, come on, Ash, let's go."
Because what this looks like is a bunch of black things that I can't tell what's going on, and then like really, really bright headlights that are somewhat highlighting things, so I couldn't tell what was going on. And there's also motion blur on a lot of
There is a lot of motion.
So I'm like, I can't tell what's going on this page. So that was the page I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, and it is a Forerunner. So we have not seen a Forerunner in this. I don't know where that was parked before, but it's like a Jeep Cherokee or some shit. It's like one of those kind of. It's not the car the kids got there in was like the new Mustang.
The new Mustang at the time.
Whatever, the Dodge Charger, whatever the fuck it was, and then Ash had his beater car from the 70s. So those were the only two cars that we thought were there, but apparently there was also a Jeep Cherokee or whatever. And so Ash now saves with Carrie Bree, who you said don't get too attached.
Don't get too attached. So yeah, hey, quick, get in the car.
Right, and so we see. Then we cut to inside of Jason's mind. Freddy's giving him a little lesson about which is basically for us to be like, now I need the book so that we can open the gate, so that I can come into our world and all this and get powers and everything. So. That was the only annoying, the storyline doesn't make any sense as far as, and also why do you need the book? All you have to say is the 3 words, that everybody knows. You know what I mean?
What? No, I don't know what.
The 3 words, the ones that he fucks up in Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah, okay.
Those are the only words anybody says out of the book in this.
I don't remember what they are off the top of my head.
You don't remember what they?
Not
Well,
off the top of my
you would fucking die in Army of Darkness.
Apparently so.
Apparently
It's been
so.
a little while.
Well, we'll get there. I don't remember what they are either. So.
You fucking asshole.
But yeah, so anyway, they're like, hey,
Some Evil Dead fan you are.
Yeah, we should go back to. I'll remember in a second when they show it. But yeah, so he brings the 2 girls back to the S-Mart, of course, because where else?
Where else are you gonna go?
And he
Back to work.
He sees some of the other burnout kids that were there not working before, and he's like, "Hey, Jason's following us." We're like, "Jason," blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, "Look, fuck you, kids. Either believe us or don't. You're gonna die if you don't follow us." And so they decided to, probably good idea to go inside, and he's looking at the book, of course, to figure out maybe he can send Jason back or figure some way to get out of this. And of course, Jason comes into the store full of people now. It's got regular customers, and it's like I would have had it this. You hear the sound effect, right? Which is
he
not
just walks through the door.
But you hear
he's not killing people yet.
That's not the sound effect. You should hear what should happen is you would this is what happened. Okay. We got perfect scene right here. So Ash is looking at the book like, we got to figure this out. Jason's on his way. He's going to kill us all. We got to figure this out. And then you hear
The door.
ding,
Ding. Exactly.
You hear like, welcome to S-Mart. And then you cut to Jason who's standing right there.
Just at the door.
Yeah, like breathing heavy or whatever. And then all the people like, what? And then just lopping off heads, which it kind of happens. But like I said, they do the weird sound effect of his stalking sound or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. They did it in the wrong spot. But so he just starts murdering.
Yes.
Murdering through this crowd of shoppers in very fun ways. Still. Some of the best kills in this book are in this scene.
Agreed.
So let's go through the kills. There's a fat lady who's like, Jason, and then he fucking just rips her head off or something. He punches through her face. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And then he cuts a dude in half, completely in half. Then he picks up a shopping cart. And there's an old man, and he hamburgers. I'm gonna call it hamburgering a guy. The old man. He basically forces the old man's body.
He pushes it down
through the shopping cart
hard.
Squares. Yeah, so that the man's body becomes squeezed like hamburger meat when it's getting.
Yeah, when they're making they take the meat and they make
So basically he does that, and then one of the great. I love this kill personally. They're in like the area where like the toys are, and there's like the pegs in the wall to hold the toys up, and Jason takes a girl and he picks her up and he just shoves her into that wall so all the pegs just stick through her, which I thought was a fun kill. It doesn't make any sense necessarily, but I liked the way it looked in the comics. I'm like, that's not how it works because they're all full of toys and shit. It should have been like an empty peg wall and then he could have done it, or like a loosely filled peg wall where there's like a couple toys but mostly it's empty. But everyone's full on this, so I'm like, it doesn't make any sense art wise, but I like the idea of that kill. Like
he pushes so hard it squishes toys.
Yes.
Again, suspend disbelief.
These are 2000 toys. They're not as well made as those 80s ones we liked, so 80s and 90s. But yeah, basically just carnage everywhere. And the best thing, the manager is yelling, like, we need to stop. What's going on? Why aren't you working? And then he comes out of his office, and then Jason comes up behind him, like, and then, like, totally takes a file.
Yeah, he's, like, handing a file off, which I guess
I think it's a clipboard. I think it's a clipboard because it's harder than a file.
Yeah.
But it looks like a file, but it's a clipboard. And he just cuts the dude's face in half.
Yeah, he's like shoves it through the middle of his face.
Yeah, as he's talking, which is pretty fantastic. Into a wall, which like at the top of his head then is being held up by the clipboard into the drywall, which is fun. And then we get, Ash pulls out his chainsaw out of nowhere.
And hooks it on his hand. He
calls him Wayne Deadsky, which is a funny a funny term. And then goes, goes toe to toe with Jason, which he does pretty good. Although Jason, he can't die. So, they just fight basically. We get a big old fight scene, and then the
Carrie stabs him. With something.
So Carrie stabs him with a sword or something. I'm not exactly sure. He hits her and just kind of hits her out of the way because his mission is just to get the book. Right, that's what Freddy sent him in there for.
Yeah.
And so then we see Bree, the girl that we saved in the last issue from the house. She's crying now because she's holding the book, and she's like, "Please don't." And then we don't see what happens to her until later, but basically he ripped when he took the book. He just from her throat rips out. He gives her a Colombian necktie.
Yeah,
I think is what it is. But he just rips her throat and tongue out from the front.
yeah,
which is crazy. But yeah, so then he gets the book. He goes back to his home with his mom's head and Freddy's head sitting there because he's got Freddy's head from the movie. So the heads are there, right? So, and now Freddy's very excited because this is what he's wanted. He is able to read from the book, and what does he read? You think it's going to be some spell or something? It's the same fucking 3 words that he says in Army of Darkness, which I don't understand. There's more words than that in this book. So but that was one of my things in this. Like, that's not what you read to do like some big spell to really, to get your body back. If you're, Freddy Krueger, you would read some other thing from it. But he just reads Klaatu Verata Nikto without coughing or anything and fucking it up. And I said it, basically. And so he says it correctly, and then his body returns, and now basically it's him.
I'm back, bitch.
He's back, yeah. And this is the other thing. This Freddy is full Scary Terry. It is.
Yeah.
Hey, bitch, how's it going? Oh, you can run, but you can't hide, bitch. Like just full on. We need to kill these kids, and he specifically says like, "Hey, kill some virgins while you're at it, Jason." Because also right now he's not at full power. He's just in our world. He doesn't have extra powers. He can still dream travel though. So that's where we get this issue is they come back. This is also where the art starts to change. Not sure why, but the end of this issue was where I noticed, hey, art looks different now.
Starting to look a little
different. Not bad at first, but just different. And definitely had like someone fill in at the end of this. And so one of the panels it looks like Ash is Johnny Cash from right before he died from his Hurt video.
Yes,
which I thought was like, wow, Ash really got old real fast. But they're all huddled away now. Like basically the only people they didn't kill were some of the stupid boys that were there, the workers, and Carrie and Ash now. So there's just them 2 boys. There's 2 boys, 3 boys. It's 3 boys. And Carrie and Ash. So
they all stock up in a house. I didn't see what the house was.
I don't know which house it is. Yeah, it's just some cabin or some shit.
Yeah, it went to somebody's house.
And so they're there, and Ash falls asleep.
And he has a dream, and in this dream, his hand like regrows, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell?" He doesn't realize it's a dream.
Yeah, he looks down, and his hand is actually a hand. It's not metal. Yeah. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then then it turns into Freddy's hand. He's like, "No, you took my hand again. It's evil." And that's the end of this.
And that's it. Yeah. And then Freddy's like laughing and stuff.
Bitch. And then basically in the next issue, it starts off right there.
Yeah. He has to wake himself up, and I like that. He has to like.
He burns himself with the shotgun as he has to fight Freddy for a bit. He cuts his hand off in the dream with a chainsaw, and then burns himself because he's been shooting it so much it's all hot. And so that's what wakes him up, and then he sees the burn. And he's like, "Holy shit, it's real! Like I burned myself in the dream, and it happened here." And Freddy's back basically, and but then everybody else is sleeping, so Freddy's in their dreams, and it's like kids playing fucking dodgeball in high school, and the balls are killing them. It's just like stupid Freddy dreams, basically. But like they're literally like getting beat to death in the dreams, and then they're like dying. So another kid dies.
Yeah, I always like when Freddy gets to kill in the dreams, though. Those are fun. Yeah, because he literally has like the kids like back in like middle school or high school or something, and all the kids are just throwing dodgeballs at him, and they're just over and over and over again. It's so hard that it starts like to actually hurt him, and then he's dying.
Yeah, and now Freddy knows we got to take Ash out first. He's gonna be a problem if I want to like achieve my power or whatever, right? So he's like, you can enjoy killing the kids afterwards, Jason, but just focus on Ash. And I got some heavy reading to do because he's got to read his book to figure out how to get extra powers now. So they end up going. Where the fuck do they go? They go to like another mart or something. They go to like a hardware store where there's like fertilizer and shit because they're gonna make bombs. And like he gets a new chainsaw that's all like.
Yeah, they go back to the S-Mart.
Is that what it is? Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Because
it's
they were
right.
at a house before. Yeah, so they go back to the S-Mart. There's a lot of back and forth just to change scenes probably in this. But and this is also where we start quoting heavily from the movies because you get give me some sugar, baby.
Give me some sugar.
He kisses the girl. And
Ash gets a new chainsaw, and this chainsaw hand is
silver.
It's silver, and it can cut through like steel or something.
It's vibranium.
It is, yeah. It's a vibranium chainsaw.
And so they make some explosives and stuff, and then they're in the woods now looking for Jason, and Jason shows up, and he fucking takes him on. He kills the two guys like almost instantly as they're like bumbling around the woods, and then they set up a trap where they put his hockey mask or a hockey mask. I don't know. I guess a hockey mask on the ground, and under that is like a bomb, and she's gonna trigger it from the car when she sees him. And I liked this. This was a fun because she's like, "Oh, he's going for it. He's taking the bait." And she's in the car and she's looking and she goes, "He can't, or no, he can't know it's a trap because he just kind of pauses and looks at it, and then he looks back at the car real quick, and he's like, and then." So it's like, what is Freddy like in control of her or something? Because he kind of did like a not Jason move there. But it was still fun. I thought it was fun.
Would have done that in general.
I think Jason would have paused and would have looked and would have paused and would have looked and then just started walking towards her.
Yeah.
No, not the finger.
Not the
Yeah. He wags it. It literally does the sound effect. So he wags it in time with it.
Yeah.
Back and forth. But yeah, so then he goes after her in the car. Well, in the meantime, Ash is down there in the cellar of the house. He's fighting Freddy because Freddy appears and is now like defending the book. And I guess Jason kills enough people. Oh no, he says like, "I'm going to stop you from reading from that book. You're not going to be able to." And then Freddy kind of stopped me. "Oh, that's rich. You can't stop me. I read from the book 10 minutes ago when I found the passage. So I already have all these powers." And that's when he like fully releases his craziness and shows his new like form and shit. And
he's like super red Freddy with like some pointy ears.
Yeah, and he gets like multiple mouths and shit. And
yeah,
weird stuff. It's kind of like when Jafar becomes a genie.
Yeah,
like, little Jafar in this. But yeah, basically now he can like do the dream world shit in our world in like while they're awake. So he's fighting Ash like
they did have
multiple hands,
and they do have really good banter back and forth. That's definitely the best two characters to like.
Well, yeah, of course,
have a back and forth.
Yeah, the witty banter back and forth.
Yeah,
of course, Ash and
Freddy. Yeah. The two of them quipping for each other was par for the course. It was fun.
Yeah, and so I don't know exactly why. Do you know why Jason decides like, oh, now I'm mad at Freddy? But for some reason, as Freddy's about to take out
because I think he's basically like, I don't need to be your. I think Freddy like just insults him. He's like, I'm not going to be your wet nurse anymore. Like, I'm not taking care of you. I'm all powerful.
Yeah.
Screw you. I've got it all now. And Jason's like, well, that's not nice.
Oh yeah. So then Jason starts to fight him, but now he's not really like a match for him, right? Like he's got all these powers. Jason can't really do what he did in the last movie, we'll say.
Yeah, no, he tells him, he's like, basically, you're fighting a god now. He's
an all-powerful genie.
Yeah, exactly. He cuts out, he like...
What he does is he sends people, like, he possesses all the dead bodies that were there.
That's right.
To fight Jason. So they're all like, we're going to kill you. And so Jason's just fighting, like, dead kids that he already killed. And I don't know. He's just struggling with that. And this is where the comic starts to kind of fall apart for me a little bit because, one, you don't get cool Eric Powell covers anymore. And then, and then two, the art changes big time. Like, I don't know what happened. It says it's the same artist, but I don't think it is. Everybody looks totally different. But either way, Jason is fighting his demons.
And
While-
he gets like a hand torn off, and then he sticks his machete in where his arm gets like torn off a
Yes,
bit.
yeah. Jason gets his arm torn off, and then he puts a machete in his arm.
In
So
his
he's
stump.
he basically pulls an Ash
Yeah.
instead of a chainsaw. He puts
the machete.
in his stump. So then Ash is busy fighting in the real world. He runs outside, and there's like all the woods are now like rape trees, like in Evil Dead or whatever. But they're trying to vine him and everything. They're not trying to rape him in this one, but
No, they're just like bind him.
yeah, they're binding him, and then there's like crows attacking him and shit. And I thought this was funny. He like bites one of the crows. He's like, "Fuck you, you crow!" And he's like, "You taste like dead-eyed ass." So like basically, it's like the Deadites are rising. Like Freddy can control Deadites or something, basically. So he is fighting them as well, and I don't know. We get like a weird Freddy who's just kind of all powerful.
Caroline tries to stop him at one point, but he's like, "Yeah, fuck off." He's like, again, it was like that. Like, I know I'm a god. He's like, but he's like, I guess if you want to partake of me, you could take. He's like, you could take my bread and my wine, bitch. You know, but like,
yeah. He does like the whole like take
but,
my communion.
Yeah,
which is actually from a movie. So like one of his movies.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, but I think they're like, okay, we need to read from the book again. We got to figure out these passages, you know, about Freddy and Jason, because there's actually they open the book and there's like passages about Freddy and Jason in the book,
in the Necronomicon. How about that?
In them, so it's weird. It's a weird thing, but they're like, we need to put this right. We need to send these guys back to hell, and so he says to Carrie, like, I'm gonna figure this out when I tell you to say the words Klaatu, Verata, Niktu. Once again,
the only words you
ever need to know from that book, apparently. And so she's like, okay, and then they get out of the house, and then it's like a dream world, like he has changed the whole area to be like,
yeah, it's actually the house from the Freddy movies.
Yeah, the one from
on Elm Street.
The girl, yeah. the whatever her name is, the main girl. But yeah, and there's like the kids playing hopscotch while they sing this Freddy's chase.
Yeah, they do the Freddy song.
And so yeah, and then like Jason enters this world, and it's funny because it's kind of like Jason X when he like walks into the hologram room.
Yeah,
it's like that, except it's Jason. It's like a Freddy hologram.
A Freddy hologram, yeah.
Which it's weird that they showed it like that, but I guess they were like, how do we show this dimensional portal? And I'll just have him
walk him through it. Yeah.
So Jason's all pissed. He's got, you know, machetes, and he comes into this world where Freddy's fucking with everybody. And, you know, they fight, and she's about to say the words, because they're like, if we're in this dream world and we say it with him, we're fighting, the portal will open and suck him away or whatever. And this was cool, I thought. Ash shoots Jason in the face because he like stops her from saying the words, and it shoots off his hockey mask. But then we get to see Jason's face underneath, and it's like super like
gross,
desiccated and black and creepy. Although he's got both eyes, and I don't think in most of the books or most of the movies he's only got one.
Yeah, and one of the I guess it would be his left eye.
Well, I know at least one of them gets like taken out a couple times at least.
Yeah.
So for sure one of them's gone. I think it's his left one is gone.
Yeah.
But his right one he always has. So I thought those were they don't keep continuity with the movies in this as far as design goes.
Nitpicking, but Matt's a big stickler for that.
Yeah.
Friday 13th.
Hey, you know what? It's gonna happen. so yeah, Ash cuts off, or like is able to get the Necronomicon away from Jason, and Carrie gets it back, and so she is ready to read it whenever Ash is ready. And once again, they're still fighting. And there's just like this last 3 issues is like a big fight scene.
Yeah, it's a really big long fight.
Doesn't go anywhere particularly amazingly. Like that was my problem with it. Was it's just kind of like it doesn't really like seem like it needs to be this long, but it is. Like that was my problem with some of this. It could have been a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But this is where Ash is able to get his car working again here in this part, and that was the weird.
Maybe because it's like the dream world or whatever. I don't know.
I guess maybe
that's why the car was there. I don't know why, but either way, Carrie ran away from the dream world though. She is now with the book. She has escaped while Ash was fighting Jason, and Freddy is on her heels. But she goes to an ice fishing area where there's like a bunch of shacks on a frozen lake. And Freddy follows her and is like, "Oh, where you at, bitch?" Like, just all those things that he would say. And he is picking up the cabins and is like blowing them up and all this shit. And she's hiding. And,
he's doing it like one by one.
yeah. And so he picks up the one she's in. And this is where he does the communion thing when he's like,
"Oh, that's yeah.
My blood is your blah blah blah," or whatever. And she freaks out. But then Jason shows up and is like, "I ain't done, motherfucker." So then Jason starts fighting with him, and we have Jason, kind of he's one again. He's underpowered because there's no like, it's Freddy.
Yeah, but it's magic powered Freddy now.
That's what I mean. It's magic powered Freddy, but he actually gets a hit where he fucking chops right down the head of like Freddy and stuff. I thought that was cool, but Freddy gets like too many hits, and like you said, Ash starts the car. Ash actually comes out of nowhere with the car and hits Freddy, and is able to, before he's able to say his words and like I guess make the world completely his or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
I think he was going to try to send Jason back, basically.
Is that what he's going to do? Okay, so he's going to do something again with the book, whether it's opening more demon hell portals or whatever, or sending Jason back finally. He's about to read from the book, and before he does, Ash hits him with his shitty car, which knocks the book out of his hand, and then he has a fight. They all kind of three have a fight here.
Yeah, Ash shoots Freddy Krueger in the balls.
yes, which was fun. I was like, I never see him reload in this either.
Yeah.
He's just got his boomstick, and
it's always ready to go.
But Jason is outnumbered by Freddy because Freddy has multiplied himself in this fight, and there's like 6 Freddys versus Jason, and then they all like attack him, and then Ash fell in the water when I think he shot something happened. He fell in the water, the ice broke, and he pops through, pulls himself up, and that distracts Freddy, which allows all the 5 of the 6 Freddys to get killed by Jason. So now it's just the one or whatever. Yeah. So then we're like mano y mano, and or I guess mano y mano y mano. Then they all 3 fight like again, and then she is finally able to say the words because Ash is like, "Say it now," and a portal opens up and sucks the book back actually, and Freddy goes with it.
Yeah, he kind of. I couldn't tell if he gets sucked in or if he fell in after it.
I feel like he lets himself be sucked in after it because he needs the book, right?
Yeah.
He wants the book to fully power him. I think is like I think he's trying to get like full omnipotence or some shit with his book, have full control over all the stuff. So, but the book flies out of his hand into this portal. He goes with the book. And Jason, what happens to Jason? He falls in the lake. That's right.
Yeah.
So the car breaks through, make Jason fall in the frozen lake. As we know, Jason's scared of water. He can't. And maybe the car's on him too. He can't get out of the water, and it's frozen, so he's cold in the water. And so
he really cold.
Yeah, he's really really cold. And then we're left with the Jeep and our
give me some sugar, baby.
Carrie. Yeah, we get the give me some sugar. Ash and Carrie make out. He puts on his Elvis glasses and they drive off. And then we see in the springtime, it's all melted. And the book actually falls from the sky. A portal opens up. The Necronomicon falls from the sky into the water. And Jason is just sitting there floating. And then now here's the big thing. I don't think this happened. I could be wrong. But we get, the book is open as it hits the water. And we see a page from the book. We see Freddy, and we see Ash, and we see Jason, and we also see Leatherface. So we're alluding to that's going to be the next one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Jason's eye opens, and you're, and it's the end.
And the end.
Dun dun dun.
So yeah, it's like almost like they set up for for something else.
They did. I don't think they ever actually pulled that off because I think Leatherface is owned by another company. Like it would have just been like too many things. There is a sequel to this, so maybe Leatherface is in that, but it doesn't. It's called Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, so I don't think it has Leatherface, or else they would say
that probably because that would be a selling point. So
it would be a selling point, and it would be probably contractually obligated.
Yeah, you need to say the name of our,
and it needs to be in a certain order or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so Jason ain't dead. Freddy's in some, Necronomicon land. The Necronomicon is still around in Jason's world, in our world. And Jason is still alive at Camp Crystal Lake.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's what it should be. All right, John. What did you think of that?
So, I mean, we kind of hit all the main points. Like, it's fun.
Is it an amazing comic?
It starts off really fun. It's a little lackluster as you get towards the end. But, like, there's still enough quips and things that keep you going. I'd say overall, it was fun. It was fun revisiting. Like I
would say if you like horror franchises, this is fun.
Yeah,
because you get to like.
If you like The Evil Dead, this is fun.
Yeah, if you like Freddy vs. Jason, this is also fun because it's a sequel technically to that movie. It's a little convoluted, but you get to see. Like I thought it was funny that they killed Will and Laurie from the movie, like the survivors from the movie, within the first 5 pages.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah. Fuck them.
Fuck those kids.
Yeah.
They worked so hard.
I enjoyed that. And then I thought Jason's kills were fucking awesome in this movie. And you get to see him kill in the fucking store and stuff, which you never get to
in
see.
daylight and stuff. That was really fun.
That was the whole thing with if you know the series, the franchise of Friday the 13th, there's one movie called Friday 8, or it's Friday the 13th, number 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, which is considered one of the worst ones.
What's Matt's favorite?
It's not my favorite. It's the one I saw first, and I enjoy it the most. So I have a lot of memories of being terrified, and it's so cheesy and it's so stupid that I'm like, yes, I love this movie. But I'm like, how was I scared of this when I was 13? I don't know. And it was the edited one too. It was on TV, so it wasn't even like the real.
Not
one.
even the real scary.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my god, I'm terrified. But I grew up in a super religious home, so things scared me.
Everything was a little scary.
Yeah. When you think the devil is real, then, when you watch Jason, you're like, oh, shit. Jason's a demon. Jason's a demon. So, and so is Freddy. And so is all that stuff. So, so this, if you are a fan of those franchises, I think it works,
Yeah.
So
overall, I would say it was a fun read. I enjoyed it. Especially again for a second time, I was like, I feel like I liked it. And then rereading, I was like, yeah, I liked it. It was fun. Like, I'll probably forget this in a couple years and then be like, can we read it Freddy vs. Jason?
Let's print this one out and read it.
Yeah. So I think I would give it it's a solid. I'll give it a 5.
Cool. Yeah, it's hard, right? Because this is it's a silly comic, but there's, sometimes comics are just fun to read for funsies.
Exactly.
And as a franchise, I think. So I will say this is a 5 for me too, but this is a 5 with an asterisk. If you like these things,
yes,
it makes it fun. If you don't like these things, you will be like, what the fuck is this bullshit comic? I am overlooking a lot of things, like we said, like the convenience of some stuff or the convolutedness of how everything got together
or
the
whatever. Continuity and specific things of some movies.
Right. Things like that I'm willing to overlook because it's just fun to have Ash and Freddy and Jason fight each other in a comic. There's definitely an asterisk by that 5 because I think Batman Hush is a better comic than this, but that's our 5. I will say, that's why that asterisk is there. Because if you're going to go by comics, this is probably a 3 or something like that.
What Matt is saying is he has to give it another reason why he's giving it a 5 because he can't outright fully fill it as a comic.
Hold on.
Talking to you guys, he's like, as a comic reader. I cannot give this anything but
it's the Maguire asterisk. What's the guy Maguire, the baseball player that?
Oh yeah, the Mark McGuire.
So Mark McGuire. When I was a kid, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's hitting all these home runs. Fuck yeah, Sammy Sosa and him are awesome. If you like baseball, that was what was going on when I was a kid. And I was big into it. And then all of a sudden they're like,
but they
take steroids. And there's an asterisk by their name now. Yes, they hit those home runs, but there's an asterisk. And that's how I feel about this comic. I feel it's fun, and I had a blast reading especially the first 3 issues.
That's a perfect analogy for this. Good job.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a blast reading it, and I think it's a great comic if asterisk you like Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, or if you like Ash, because it is mainly an Ash comic.
Yeah.
Freddy and Jason, you just kind of have to know a little bit about their lore to get it, but and they because they explain what happened at the end of Freddy versus Jason, so like you caught up with that. So yeah, like I think if you're either of those two things and you just want to have like a fun comic, check that one out. And I think a lot of those comics, a lot of these like Jason comics, especially because we're going to read some of them, are like that. A lot of them are. If you like these things, they're going to be fun.
Come on, that's the base of their pandering to anyway. So
exactly, like that's all these are.
This was on the shelf for people like you and me to buy it, and like maybe
I fucking bought it.
Yeah,
I gave them my money.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's an asterisk by it, but in a a good way, like an okay way. I think that's fine. Comics are able to do this. You can't if we can't have it in a movie, fuck it, do it in a comic at least. Make it work. I enjoy it.
That's true. There's several stories that like are like a what if or not. Well, now that we're getting what if.
We even like the Yamcha one that we read.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's a super fun comic if you like Dragon Ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you don't know Dragon Ball, it's probably not the best comic, but
yeah, if you like Dragon Ball,
Yamcha and Dragon
fantastic.
Ball, it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So like, that's the kind of thing with this. It's like there's an asterisk by it.
Yeah.
But I had a blast going back and reading it, and I think it's fun, and I think it's worth. I would say owning like a paperback of if you I just wanted to have all the Jason paperbacks or something or whatever, but you can't find any of these. They're if you find the single issues, they are all like super expensive because they have Jason, just because Jason's on it or Freddy's on it, they're like expensive just because they have those characters. So Ash, not so much. No one cares about Ash, but the whole like. If any of the ones we're going to read for this Friday the 13th Spooktacular, all of them are impossible to find. I know. I tried to find them, and if they do have them, they're all like, "Oh, it's $50." I'm like, $50 for this piece of shit comic? Like, it's one thing if it's $1 or 99 cents or $1.99, whatever, normal comic price. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll shell out that for like a fun little read. But if you're gonna make me pay $50, I don't give a shit about it that much. So like, it's one of those things. Like, this isn't high art or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like
fun comics.
They're fun comics. I'm like, wait, $50, $100 for this guy. This isn't like a statue of Jason. Like, calm down.
Yeah. So that is my caveat and my thing. But I do think it is a 5 if you like those things. Had a blast reading it again.
Very much so.
Like I said, I kind of had to piece together some of the story. But I had to stitch my own stitching on some of that story.
It's a fun ride, bitch.
Yeah. Hell yeah, bitch.
I guess it was groovy.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, definitely if you can find it, check that one out. If not, I mean, they are available through other means if you are a torrenter or whatnot.
Or discount bins. Maybe if someone doesn't know what they have, check them.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you never know. Look for them.
You know what? If there's a half-price books around you, go check their comics because half the time they don't know what they have.
Oh, I've looked.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah, check those places. Check, garage sales and stuff. You never know.
I sold some comics at half price one time, and they gave me more money for one because it was signed, and it was a comic I got on like a free comic book day.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
I was like,
I don't think they do.
Are they getting better about that?
Yeah, they're getting better about it. I know because I've been looking.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, like we said, we're doing our Spooktaculars, so check those out. We're going to do 2 a week, starting on Monday, which is tomorrow, if you're listening to this podcast on Sunday. And so we have, I believe, 6 issues total, or 6, I'm sorry, episodes.
6 Spooktaculars.
Spooktaculars. So check those out. Like I said, they're mini episodes, so like they're not going to be full length or anything. So.
Yep. And if you want more spooks and frights, we had a great series last year. It was the 13 comics of Halloween.
It almost killed us.
That was a lot, but we did it for y'all. And if you haven't checked it out, if you're a new listener, go check those out. We'll kind of re-push into the forefront Throwback Thursdays and whatnot. They're
on YouTube, and they are in our back catalog on our
and they're all fun, weird, ridiculous comics. So definitely worth a listen. But yeah, on that note, I guess what do we read next week?
Oh, what are we reading next week, you ask? Well, we, sir, are dipping our toes back into the world of Junji Ito.
Oh, sweet. I really enjoyed our first one that we did.
Fuck yeah. What was it? Gyo.
Gyo
was the first one we read, which was about the fucked up fish virus thing.
Look, so I was not a big manga person. Like I dipped my toe, but I didn't really know as much. But Matt has definitely been getting me more. Talkology podcast, shout out. They've been, sending us down a really cool path with some great suggestions. And specifically, like when we read that one, when we read Gyo, I was like, whoa, I didn't know there was horror manga. This is crazy. Yes. I really liked it. So
specifically horror manga, just like the Friday the 13th book we just read, is like, hey, they can show whatever the fuck they want. It's not rated R.
Exactly. And in the horror manga, it was that one specifically had like crazy like half fish, half spider alien creatures.
Not aliens,
sorry. That's right.
Mechanical virus things or whatever. But yeah, anyway, this one is called Uzumaki. I'm very interested because it says spiral into horror, and it's apparently about spirals that, I don't know, kill people or something. I don't fucking. It doesn't really say what it is other than spirals are involved, and people say this is a very, very good scary one. So that's what I've heard.
I'm down.
Yeah. So we're going to be reading that one in case you wanted to read it beforehand or just have us spoil it for you. And with that being said, check out. We are now on Coffee, everybody. So Coffee is either our support platform, but it's also a way you can just follow all of the stuff in one place because I'm doing weekly updates on it. So I will post every video I do on YouTube and the 2 podcasts we do and the spooktaculars that we're going to do there every week so that you can just get it all in one thing. So all you got to do is follow us on that and it will email you the whole little newsletter for it, even if you're not, donating or anything. Yeah. So, but if you feel so inclined, please donate there. It does help us out. We had I'm going to shout out Dadpool29 who donated a nice $20 donation to us, so that helped us pay for this month's hosting for the podcast and everything.
Yeah, so we're really appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dadpool29. And so if anyone would like to do that, you could do that. We do have one tier set up. We're working on getting some other tiers. If you guys have any ideas for tiers and you want certain things, let us know. Email us at planeschains.and-comicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on one of our many platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We've got exclusive content on there all the time. Matt is pumping them out. I have some stuff in the works, I swear to God. And
we'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah. But so check us out. Rate us where you can. Like, share, subscribe. And I guess on that note,
we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.